Number 10. Ghost Girl. Let's kick this list off with the paranormal footage of what some people believe to be a ghost or some other supernatural being. In 2017, a YouTuber posted footage of him and his friends in Mexico at night. The footage starts off with the group standing on a street, seemingly having been frightened by something as they shine their flashlights down the road. You can't see anything at first, but the men seem certifiably spooked and must have all seen something pretty scary to put them in this state. When the camera turns to one of the boys on the ground, it then moves back up, showing the outline of a girl standing against a building. It appears to be a woman with long dark hair, with her neck turned at an odd angle. Though it's a bit hard to make out exactly what it is or what the person looks like, this is apparently the creature that had scared the boys, as they react with panic and immediately start running away. Number 9. The Morgue. This video was also published in 2017 by a user called SteadyPop. They were exploring an abandoned building when they came across an underground morgue. As they walk closer to the dark hallway, you can hear the distinct sound of something metal slamming against the wall. As they walk further down the flickering hallway, you get the distinct feeling that this is the worst decision a horror movie character could ever make. Just turn around and leave. But the cameraman doesn't, and instead braves the dark expanse of the morgue, discovering the source of the slamming sound. It is a large red door, rhythmically banging open and shut. The sound of the banging is just so loud and terrifying. While some people in the comments have claimed it was just a trick with a fishing line, could the fishing line really have been able to slam the door that hard? Number 8. Cliff diving. Alright, now let's quickly move out of the paranormal and go to another just terrifying, death-defying situation. I found this video on TikTok and it seems to show a man going cliff diving. He is crawling along the top of the cliff, holding on to what looks to be a fence, potentially showing the fact that he is in a restricted or even dangerous area. But he continues on, moving towards where the water is. He eventually makes it to the point that he decides to jump from, but this immediately shows itself to be a pretty bad idea. As he jumps in, it becomes clear in the footage that he may not make it to the water, and he realizes this himself, yelling out in fear. Fortunately, he does not hit the rocks below, just barely making it to the water. If he had been only a few inches closer, he likely would have hit the ground and suffered from severe injuries. The near miss is terrifying to watch and has you on the edge of your seat hoping that he makes it. Number 7. Bad ideas. Alright, now back to the paranormal. I've titled this one Bad Ideas because it comes from a YouTube channel called The Bad Ideas, and the whole situation is just generally a bad idea. He is riding down a trail with his friend with a GoPro camera mounted on his head, when he suddenly comes across another GoPro that appears to have been strategically left on a tree stump for someone else to find. They then have the bad idea of taking it home and seeing what footage is on it. When they open the camera, a piece of paper falls out that appears to have a password, and when they get into the footage, it is incredibly eerie. It is scarily edited footage of a mysterious masked creature, a walking mannequin, a young man with a skull, and a weirdly edited photo of Jesus. Some people say that the video is staged due to the placement of the GoPro, but even if it is staged, the footage is enough to put anyone on edge. Many people in the comments believing that the footage is actually cursed. Number 6. Forest Creature. This one was uploaded to YouTube under an account called Strange Videos, and it definitely fits that description. The footage comes from someone walking in the woods, filming their experience on their GoPro. Suddenly, in the background of the footage, you can see what appears to be a dark and mysterious creature. As the videographer gets closer, the identity of the creature becomes even more confusing. Many people saying that it's clear that it's not Bigfoot, but it definitely isn't human either. It appears to be tall and skinny, swaying its arms in a slow and purposeful motion. The footage is incredibly eerie to watch, as you feel like you're just waiting for it to turn around and look into the camera. Like the last one, some people believe that this footage has been staged or edited, but again, the footage is still incredibly unsettling, real or not. To me, it looks like this guy managed to catch a demogorgon on camera. Number 5. Kayaking. Let's have another break from the paranormal and switch over to the just straight up scary. This one is another one that I found on TikTok and comes from a man who is kayaking with a GoPro attached to his helmet. He is peacefully going down the water when an alligator appears to come out of nowhere from the side of the footage. The alligator bumps into the side of the kayak, flipping it over and leaving the man underwater and vulnerable to attack. Fortunately for him, he appears to know what he's doing and is able to quickly flip himself back over and get out of the situation. The alligator also apparently seems to have lost interest, as you can't see it anywhere nearby in the footage after the original attack. Perhaps it was just interested in playing a quick prank and scaring the kayaker. The situation is over and done with pretty quickly, but I'm sure the man had this on his mind for a long time and probably avoided kayaking that area for at least a little while. Number 4. Witch Hut. This footage comes from a vlogger on YouTube that has apparently been having some strange experiences. He says that he has been having run-ins with a witch and decides to go into the forest in the dead of night and search for where she's been living. Definitely sounds like a great horror movie plot. The footage shows the vlogger stumbling upon wooden crosses, which he says indicate that this is the home of the witch, also showing a large teepee made out of branches. He says that he also found other ceremonial and strange items, but he doesn't actually show them in the video. He suddenly gets frightened and turns to the left, shining his flashlight. It reveals a woman standing eerily still, wearing what looks like a white gown or a wedding dress. She has dark hair and in the video also looks to me like she has no face, though this could just be a result of the video quality and lighting. The vlogger finally decides to make a good decision and runs away from the area as soon as he encounters the witch. Number 3. Abandoned hospital. We've covered urban exploration a few times in this series, and let's take a look at another one, this time coming from an abandoned hospital facility. This one is potentially a mix of paranormal and just a frightening human encounter. The YouTuber called Ruined Road is walking through the facility when he gets to a dark area on a lower level. He hears a grunting voice come from the dark and he responds with a quick "hi" before quickly making his way out of there, not wanting to discover who or what was making the noise. When he gets outside, however, he is met with someone who tells him that he's not allowed to be there, claiming to be a security guard at the facility that is apparently being rebuilt. The man then offers to give him a tour of the place if he pays him some cash. Many people believe that this man was actually not a security guard or worker of any kind, and that this easily could have turned into a pretty scary situation for the YouTuber. Number 2. Fire alarm. This video was published in 2017 by a YouTuber called Edge Ninja. Apparently, a lot of creepy things happened on GoPro in 2017 for some reason. The man explains that the factory, as it's called, has always been an eerie landmark in the community. Apparently, no one ever seeing anyone or anything going in or out of the abandoned building for many years. One day, however, he realizes that there is a fire alarm going off in the building, despite it apparently being dormant for around 30 years. He circles the building to show that the alarm is going off in multiple different areas, but the creepiest part comes when he zooms into a window to show the alarm that's going off in a stairwell. People pointed out that in the window to the left, you can see what appears to be a creepy figure, many people saying that it looks like a ghostly face. Number 1. Abandoned street. Now let's wrap up this list with something that isn't paranormal and isn't death-defying, but is instead just downright creepy and unsettling. Urban exploration videos often share the discovery of creepy things, whether it be graffitied demonic symbols or maybe leftover documents from an abandoned asylum, but this YouTuber found something pretty unique. He was exploring an abandoned street when he decided to enter one of the empty buildings. As he walks through the house, it seems to be your typical abandoned location, peeling paint, graffiti, and broken floors. But when he enters the basement of the home, he finds something he definitely didn't expect: a spine vertebrae. He does what any sane person would do and pokes it a bit, because why wouldn't you? People in the comments debate over whether it's from an animal or a human being, but what we know for sure is that it's definitely creepy.
Number 10. Doorbell licker. And immediately into the weird. Here we go, I'm wasting no time today. This one's short and sweet, not much explaining to do here. Back in 2019, a man was caught on camera approaching a home in a neighborhood in Salinas, California. He was seen through this Ring camera. Now, he doesn't say much, he just shows up and immediately he starts licking the doorbell. Not the camera, but the actual button, like the actual doorbell. He must have rang the bell thousands of times because he did this for 3 hours straight. The homeowner said in a following interview after seeing the footage, they said, and I quote, "Oh boy, that is just weird." Yeah, oh boy indeed, that's quite weird. I'm getting a doorbell camera tomorrow. Number 9, Vegas visitor. This one was quite recent. Watching the video absolutely freaks me out. This is terrifying. This happened just over a year ago in Las Vegas. This was at 8:20 p.m. It's barely nighttime, and this man shows up out of nowhere, and the doorbell cam catches him asking to come inside the house. He's asking the homeowner over and over if he can enter, and then proceeds to announce horrible things that he'll do once inside the house. This is terrifying. This guy is also humongous. He could kick this door down if he wanted to. He also announces that he has weapons on him, and then he announces that he intends to use said weapons. It's so jarring. This guy was thankfully arrested later on thanks to this doorbell camera being on. Don't answer the door to anyone. Just play it safe always. I didn't answer the door to the paper kid growing up because it's not worth it. People are so scary. And also that kid was weird. Number 8, TV head. Stepping away from the worst of the worst for a hot minute, let's shine the spotlight on some weird stuff, you know? Like for example, the guy wearing a TV on his head. Yep, that's pretty weird. That's a thing, apparently. I actually remember seeing this a few years ago. It kind of spooked me. Back in 2019, this man would appear in Virginia and he visited more than 50 residents. He would show up with the TV on as a head, and then if that wasn't already weird enough, he would leave an old TV on your doorstep. They're all old, humongous TVs. They're so annoying to move. Also, at the same time, this is so creepy. Middle of the night, this guy shows up. Many believe this man was inspired by the comic book series Saga. There's a race of, TV alien heads in that comic. So this could be a fan of Prince Robot IV. Who knows? Either way, this is so annoying. Like imagine an elderly couple waking up having to figure this out on a Sunday morning. That's so inconsiderate. Don't do this. Don't be a prankster. Get out of here. Number 7, attempted break-in. This one happened around 2 p.m. Another horrifying encounter happening in broad daylight. How is this? This is so scary. 2 men attempted to kick the front door down and break in an Oakland, California home. One man rang the bell. The person who was home at the time was wearing headphones, listening to music, so luckily they didn't hear the initial doorbell ring. The man came back again with a partner shortly after, and this time they tried ringing again, and then after getting no response, he attempted to kick the door down. Now the person who was home did hear this, and they yelled, and the attackers luckily fled the scene. This is so terrifying. This happened in the middle of the day. Just no matter what, if you don't know the person, don't answer the door, call 911. Easy, play it safe. Number 6, Matt doesn't live here. This one I need your help on, honestly. There's a backstory here and we need to find it. We need to figure this out. Back in 2016, in the middle of an August summer night, this man approaches, topless, always a great sign. And as he's slowly approaching this home, he's looking back at somebody off camera, right? He has the I'm about to ring the doorbell and run away vibe. You know what I'm saying? He's looking back, he's getting ready, he's stretching his arms out, something's gonna happen. But instead of knocking and running, he pretends to knock, he knocks the air, and then pretends to ask somebody if Matt's home. He does it so the other person can clearly see him doing this. So I don't know if it was a dare or some sort of attempted break-in that we just can't yet decipher, but either way, it's jarring. Sound off in the comments down below. What was this guy doing? Number 5. A grim warning. This one comes from user rightmind2723. Great name. They say, we had a series of break-ins in our neighborhood when doorbell cameras first came out. So we got one because my husband often worked late and I would be home alone with the kids. Great idea. I'm starting to understand your username. Right mind indeed, my friend. Very right mind. Since they were so new, most people didn't know that it was a camera. So one night my phone pinged that there was a movement. I pulled it up and it was 2 guys talking about if they should try and go to the back of the house to break in. I was on the line with 911 so fast and the cops arrived even faster. The cops caught them both and it turns out these were the 2 men responsible for all of the other break-ins. Yeah, they didn't realize I was home. Neighbors all got cameras after this. Yeah, as they should. You should get 7% of their profits. That's like, you know what, you got some deals. 20 people buy stuff, that's, you're working for them. Again, play it safe, call 911, hide. Exhibit A. Number 4, found a key. Ooh, this one comes from Reddit user ending is near here. Okay, solid name, a little more spooky than the last, but we'll like it. They say, once I got an alert that someone was at the door. My dog was also barking at the time, but I didn't hear a knock. I then heard something myself, so I checked the camera, and I saw this younger looking guy at the doorstep. He had walked up and tried to unlock my front door with what I guess was a key he found on the ground close to my house. Luckily, he didn't get in. This happened in broad daylight with cars still in the driveway. Yeah, these types of scenarios always creep me out. People love hiding keys and like fake rocks in front of their homes. Don't do this, no way. People know about these. They will look for fake rocks. Also, They're pretty obvious most of the time. I don't know. Keep your spares very hidden. People will try anything at any time. Number 3, sleepwalker. My brother Kyle has night terrors. This man would get up in the middle of the night and just start doing dishes and whistling. It was so terrifying. I truly feel bad for sleepwalkers, okay? I get it. Not as much as Kyle, but I get it. I've seen it. This one comes from Reddit user Raging Ball of Fury. Amazing name. They say, my little brother is a sleepwalker. We'd gotten an alert and saw that he had snuck out of the house while we were still asleep. And my sister said she heard someone talking just outside of the front door. I went to look and I saw my brother sitting on the porch, apparently having a conversation with our grandfather despite being alone at the time. She says he was saying, I love you and I'm going to miss you. Nice stuff like that. My dad got him back inside the house without waking him up, which is also so impressive, side comment, and nobody gave it much thought until a couple hours later when my uncle called telling us my grandfather had passed away while he was asleep. My little brother says he doesn't remember any of this, but we got it all on video. We can't hear what he's saying too clearly, but he was definitely talking to somebody, and he sure as heck said, I'm going to miss you, at least twice. That's touching. I had to throw in a nicer one before we, get yucky again. Number 2. Not cops. Immediately back into the terrifying again. This is a hard one. If I saw this outside my front door, I would have probably opened the door. I don't know, this is confusing. This is why doorbell cameras with audio are vital, okay? This comes from an anonymous source. They say, I have a camera doorbell. The creepiest thing I ever saw was the night I had 2 cops come to my door. They stood outside the door talking to each other about if I was home or not and who would have me first or try and break in first. I was at home at the time and my dog alerted me by whining at the door. So I checked the DV cam, saw them, listened to them talking for about 10 seconds before I myself called the real 911. The operator told me they didn't have any cops in my area at the time and to stay away from the door and to put at least one more locked door between me and them and to stay on the line and to be quiet until the real cops could get there. This is how you do it, okay. I live around the block from a fire department, so it was less than 2 minutes when a fire truck pulled up, then these 2 fake cops ran away. God, that's so scary. The amount of videos I've seen online where people pretend to be police officers, it's terrifying. And also so cringe. Just like a dude trying to pull you over, he's like grabbing a non-existent vest. I'm like, what are you doing? Get a job. Unless you call them, pretend like you aren't home. Just hide, or unless you're a criminal, then for sure come out. It's over, Buster, alright? You're going to jail. And finally, number 1. Not hired help. This one is very controversial in the comments. I need to know where you all stand on this matter, because I myself am on the fence. I wanted to end this video off on a little question mark. This footage is from 2017, and the description of the video says, a suspicious man walks to my door and has no clear answers to my questions and then leaves. Thanks to Ring Doorbell for saving the day yet again. Okay, quite the description, so I watched it, I read the comments, let's talk shop. Half of the comments here are upset at the user. They're defending this man off the bat, saying clearly it sounds like he was part of the crew that had laid the tile outside of the homeowner's door previous, right? It must have been a long time ago, and if you're not the original homeowner, he's mixing you up with somebody else. Somebody else comments how the guy noticed a package on the ground, but he didn't steal it. So he's not a thief, right? Others think he's trying to get more work done by coming back to the same location, right? My take on this, again, if you don't know who's at your door, you don't have to get it. You're an adult. That's it. Enough said. That's your home. You can do whatever you want. Just pretend like you're taking a shit. That's it. Sorry, I missed the door. This person in the recording was talking to the man, and they told him that they weren't home for another 20 minutes because they were in a meeting. They were a little bit too polite in a sense, even if it was okay to be polite to someone. You know what I mean? Never tell anybody you're home. Stay safe. Okay? That's it. Stay safe. That's how I'm gonna end this.
Number 10, the forest creature. One trend in the GoPro community is to attach a GoPro to your pet in order to see their point of view of the world. This is especially popular for dogs, as people will let them roam and then watch back the journey that they took. And that's what happened here, a GoPro attached to a dog freely roaming through the woods. But when the owner watched the footage back, they were shocked by what they saw. At one point in the video, you can see a large, dark, humanoid-like creature walking across the frame. It's very hunched over and seems to have long hanging arms, looking to be too big to be a human and a bit more animalistic in its posture. Many people who have seen this video believe that this is a Bigfoot sighting, though many note how the dog didn't seem to react at all to the strange creature in its path, so it must be fake. But hey, the dog and the Bigfoot might be friends. You don't know their story. Number 9, train tunnel. Now this one is not anything ghostly or mysterious, but instead just a terrifying terrifying experience that took place between one man and his friends. As a lot of teenagers do, they were walking along train tracks when they came across a tunnel. Following the tracks, they continued inside and were met with an incredibly long and dark journey ahead of them. As they moved through the tracks though, they realized they were in terrible danger. A light was at the end of the tunnel, but it was the light on the end of a train that was barreling towards them. The train was huge and the tunnel was narrow, meaning if they were caught inside with it, they would probably die. They make a mad sprint for the opening of the tunnel, fighting against the clock to try and save their own lives. Everything being captured on their GoPro in footage that looks straight out of an action movie. They make it out of the tunnel and only a second later the train goes whizzing past. Number 8. Lost at Sea. This one is similar to the last as it was almost the video documentation of someone's final moments alive. In this video, a man named Jake has become stranded at sea after scuba diving, drifting in the ocean for hours. He pulled out his GoPro camera in order to document his final moments, saying, "That's a wrap on old Jakey." He was forced to stay afloat for a total of 6 terrifying hours, even after the sun went down and drenched him in darkness. But he says that he wasn't scared in what he believed to be his final moments and said in an interview that he was actually just thirsty. It must be pretty terrible to be dying of thirst when you're surrounded by water but you can't drink it. Fortunately for him, a plane was able to spot him thanks to the inflatable emergency marker that he was wearing on his back, and he was rescued after spending his terrifying evening at sea. It was in fact not a wrap for old Jakey. Number 7. Haunted House. Urban exploration is a very popular genre on YouTube, and I've often found myself binging the videos of people walking through abandoned homes or even theme parks. Well, these YouTubers were wandering through an abandoned house and supposedly haunted house when they caught something on camera that they definitely didn't expect. They're walking through the house and the viewer can see that it's clearly been empty for a while, in a state of disrepair with garbage and graffiti all over the floors and walls. It's dark inside the home and they have a flashlight on their GoPro as they move through the layout. They reach a corner when you can see an extremely dark, shadowy figure seeming to move around the corner and hide. While you might brush it off as just someone's shadow at first, it becomes scarier as you think about it more. The footage is coming from the front of the group, the flashlight attached to the camera, and you can see that there is clearly nothing in front of the light that would have allowed this shadow to be created. So did they manage to see a ghost or a demon in this house? Number 6. The Tunnel. This YouTuber decided to take a long walk down a dark tunnel because, well, who wouldn't? The tunnel was a large sewer drain that rumors said would apparently lead you to hell. So of course this man decided to take on the dark abandoned tunnel by himself, GoPro in hand, ready to capture whatever he might find. When he's walking though, he starts to hear strange noises, described as the sound of metal being dragged along the floor or the wall. This doesn't stop him though, and he continues moving forward, the footage looking straight out of a found footage horror movie. Some viewers of the video commented on the fact that the tunnel hadn't been spray painted or torn apart like many other abandoned places, throwing out the suggestion that this is because everyone was too scared to venture into the tunnel, even for a bit of easy vandalism. Not long into his journey, his battery starts to die, so he makes his way back to the exit, still hearing the sound of scraping metal. Number 5. Motorcycle Shadow. For the halfway part of this list, we are taking a look at another weird and unexplainable shadow, but this one took place in broad daylight. This person was taking a ride around town on their motorcycle when they realized they needed gas, and fortunately there was a gas station close by, so he pulled up, parking his motorcycle and getting ready at the pump. He's fumbling with his card when viewers can see the shadow of a person quickly walking by, reflected on the pump. The man on the motorcycle sees it too and whips his head around to see who's there, as the shadow appeared to show the person right behind him. But as he looks around, we can see that there isn't anyone even near him, and no one walking by in the distance who may have ran past. It's clear from the placement of the shadow that the person should have been close behind him, but nobody's there. Some people believe that it may be the shadow of a ghost or perhaps some other interdimensional being. Number 4. Creature. People don't just use GoPros to take videos of their daily rides on motorcycles, it's also incredibly popular to strap them to your helmet and film your trail on your bicycle, and that's exactly what this person did. They were filming their ride down a trail in their home village, preparing footage for their future video content. They then turn down a pathway that has tall walls on either side, when suddenly a strange creature jumps down onto the ground beside the bicycle. The man filming is shocked and stops, turning around to see that the creature is already gone. He said that he thought it was a dog, but on reviewing the footage it seems more like a monkey, him saying he believes it to be a hybrid between the two. He says that he was so shocked because it didn't make any sounds, even when it hit the ground. Viewers say that it doesn't appear to be a monkey and moved much too fast, disappearing way quicker than any normal creature. Do you think it's a monkey, or do you think it might be something more mysterious? Number 3. Zipline. We're back with another terrifying situation that I know would personally be my worst nightmare, and I would never want to be caught in it. These two people were ziplining when they stared down their potential deaths. They became trapped on the zip line when they discovered there was a knot in the cord and they would not be able to move forward any further, the clip being too small to go over it. You would never catch me willingly going for a zip line ride, but a zip line that looks like it's been tied together with a failed Boy Scout knot? No thank you. Watching the video is terrifying as you're able to see just how high above the ground these people are, and imagining yourself stuck up there is enough to get almost anyone scared. After continuously trying and failing to move forward down the zip line, they eventually make the decision to detach themselves and jump off. Don't worry though, they were equipped with a parachute and were able to make it to the ground safely. Number 2. Abandoned house. We're back to urban exploration again, this time at an abandoned house in my home country of Canada. Just like most abandoned locations and the last one featured on this list, the home was torn apart and vandalized, covered in garbage, rubble, and inappropriate graffiti. The people exploring the home were already put on edge by the dark and dilapidated atmosphere, but the more time they spent in there, the worse it got. They noticed that one of the doors in the home appeared to be opening and closing on its own, opening really wide before slamming against the door frame. They said that what they were feeling is unable to be conveyed through what you just see in the video, saying they felt like some dark presence was there with them and feeling more scared than they had ever been. When they looked behind the door that was moving on its own, it was clear that there was no one else within the home manipulating it, at least not anyone living. Number 1. Asylum guest. When it comes to urban exploration, one of the most popular destinations is old abandoned asylums. They are usually popular for their long and typically dark histories and the potential to find creepy artifacts within the walls. It's also believed by a lot of people that ghosts are born out of having a tragic death or unfinished business, something that would happen a lot at these now shut down hospitals. These YouTubers were exploring an abandoned asylum when they realized that they weren't alone, except it likely wasn't a ghost that was hiding within the walls. Despite there being no other cars around the building or other signs of life, they see someone standing beside a set of stairs, appearing to be on their cell phone as they were illuminated by the light of the screen. They try to communicate with the person, but he doesn't respond to them. Instead of sticking around to find out more like a proper horror movie protagonist, these guys cleared the area, leaving behind the asylum and the person who seemed to be living in the middle of nowhere.
Starting off this countdown, we have the missing GoPro.
Incredibly, the card inside the camera wasn't destroyed and he was able to recover several videos. He soon learned the images were the final moments of a young man lost far too soon.
In 2019, diver Rich Aloha was out scuba diving in a Tennessee lake on the search for lost treasure. During this dive, he came across a GoPro camera, which he thought was a little cool find. Little did he know that this find would change the lives of one family forever. The GoPro belonged to a man named Richard Ragland. Back in 2017, he was swimming with some friends at the same lake when he slipped and fell underwater and drowned. The GoPro contained his final moments from that day.
The video shows 22-year-old Richard Ragland enjoying a day outdoors. Here he is flying through the air on a zip line. And here he is splashing around with friends at a waterfall 2 hours outside Nashville. He's having a great time.
Sadly, the day ended in tragedy. Family just assumed that the GoPro was lost forever, but when it was found 2 years later, it actually helped them heal. Now they can see how happy his final moments were. In our 9th spot, we have Grace Mullane. Grace Mullane was a 22-year-old woman from Wickford. In 2018, Grace arrived in New Zealand as part of a backpacking trip. From there, she was using Tinder to meet people. That's when she matched with Jesse Kempson. The two met up on December 1st, and there's a lot of surveillance footage captured of them on this date. From their initial meeting, you can see Grace hug Jesse, and then they walk off together, and then that's them on their date. And then lastly, you see Grace heading up to her date's hotel room. Sadly, these are the last videos of her. She died by manual strangulation on December 2nd during intercourse. He then disposed of her body. It's just a terribly tragic case. In our 8th spot, we have Michaela Bali. Much like some other teens listed on here, Michaela Bali's last video is CCTV footage caught of her. Michaela Bali disappeared in 2016 and has never been seen or heard from since. On the day of her disappearance, she was seen by surveillance videos entering school at 8:08 and then leaving at 8:26 a.m. Then she left and was captured at Tim Hortons at 9 a.m. There, she was using the Wi-Fi to send messages to someone. At some point, she texted a friend asking for help, but then replied with, "Never mind, I figured it out." At noon, she returned back to her school, and at 12:03, she left school again. That was the last time anyone has ever seen her. It's thought that she was kidnapped by someone she met on Snapchat or another social media platform. Imagine being her parents though, watching this last video of their daughter. It just breaks my heart. Moving on, we have the Westminster attack. On March 22nd, 2017, a terrorist attack took place outside the Palace of Westminster in London. A man named Khalid Masood drove his car into nearby pedestrians, injuring more than 50 people and taking the lives of 4. One of the people he took the life of was Kurt Cochran. Him and his wife Melissa were out for a walk. They were there to celebrate 25 years of marriage. CCTV footage captured the final moments of Kurt. Sadly, Kurt passed away after getting hit by the car. However, he pushed his wife out of the way to safety. It literally breaks my heart watching this footage. The two were celebrating their 25th anniversary and it just ended in heartbreak. Moving on to number 6, we have Elisa Lam. If you're a true crime junkie like me, then chances are you have already heard of this case and have seen the disturbing video associated with it. So on January 26, 2013, 21-year-old Canadian Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil Hotel. She was traveling by herself, journaling about her travels along the way. On January 31st, that was the last time she had been seen alive. And this was all captured on tape. Her final moments show her acting quite strange. She's talking to herself, moving her hands randomly, pressing random elevator buttons, opening and closing the elevator doors, and just peering around the elevator. There was no one else there with her. A few days later, hotel guests reported the water in the hotel rooms running black, and that the tap water tasted disgusting. On February 19th, Elisa's body was found rotting and bare in the water tank on the hotel's roof. Her death was labeled as accidental drowning, but everyone believes otherwise. Some say that she was playing the elevator game and was being possessed by something evil. Others believe it had something to do with her bipolar disorder. It was found that she had not taken her antipsychotic recently. And then you have people who think that she was murdered. It's just quite strange for her to end up in the water tank. In order for her to do that, she would have had to gone to the 15th floor, taken a staircase up to the roof, and then turned off the rooftop alarm. From there, she would have had to climb on the platform where the hotel's water tanks were, and then to get into the water tank and close the lid behind her. How did she do this undetected? Especially since the roof has an alarm system and was locked. Either way, the death of Elisa is quite strange, and the last video of her is quite disturbing. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the revenge killing. On August 27th, 2018, Raneem Uda and her mother Kaola Salim lost their lives to a man named Janbaz Tareen. Raneem was seeing him until she found out that he had 3 kids and a wife, and his wife was pregnant with another kid, so she left him. But Tareen began to follow her around and threaten her. At one point, he slept outside her place for 12 nights in a row. He said that if she were to leave him, then he was going to kill her and her family. On the night of August 27th, Raneem and her mom were out at a local shisha bar. That's when Tareen showed up. He was threatening her and her mom and was making a huge scene. This led to them being kicked out. Those were their final moments caught on tape. Later, Tareen followed them home and took their lives. In our fourth spot, we have Kanika Jenkins. This is another case that will give you the chills. So on September 8th in 2017, Kanika and her friends were at a party in room 926 in the Crown Plaza Chicago O'Hare Hotel. Later on, the next day early in the morning, Kanika was caught on CCTV footage wandering around the hotel by herself. Clearly, she was intoxicated. She wandered around for several hours until she made her way inside the hotel's kitchen area. On September 10th, she was found dead inside the walk-in freezer. Now, from CCTV footage, we see her enter the kitchen, but there were no cameras pointing at the freezer, so unfortunately we don't know if that's the case. Her parents believe that she was murdered and then placed in the freezer. However, the CCTV footage is the last video we have of Kanika. Moving on, number 3, we have Kendrick Johnson.
Of our exclusive investigation into the death of Kendrick Johnson, specifically what school surveillance video can tell us about how he died and what's missing from it again.
This case is another one that will keep you up at night. It's also another case that is highly debated about. On January 11th, 2013, Kendrick Johnson's body was found inside a rolled up mat in his school's gym. Police deemed his death accidental. Apparently, he used to store his shoes in the mat so that he didn't have to pay for a locker. It was thought that he had to crawl into the mat to retrieve his shoes, but he got stuck upside down and passed away. But a lot of the evidence didn't really make sense, like how his gym shoes were found on the ground below him, but it was lying on top of a pool of his blood. There was no blood on the shoe itself, and a lot of key pieces of evidence were just kind of discarded. Anyways, on his final day, we see Johnson walking down his school's hallway into his gym.
Of the surveillance video from the old gym to investigators.
There is a whole of time where none of the cameras provide any record that I've been provided.
That video, along with a short clip of Johnson in the gym, are the last videos ever taken of him. His parents are still out there fighting for his justice. They are prepared to do whatever it takes to find out what really happened to their son. Coming in at number 2, we have the final report. On August 26, 2015, news reporter Allison Parker and Adam Ward were killed during a live interview. Allison was interviewing a woman named Vicky Gardner when the killer snuck up on them and shot all 3 of them. This deed was carried out by a man named Vester Lee Flanagan, also known as Bryce Williams, who was also a reporter at the same station as Allison and Adam. But in 2013, he was fired, and it said that he blamed the pair for this. The shooting occurred at 6:46 a.m. Eastern Time, and you can hear the gunshots, see the ladies' terrified reactions, and then the cameraman falls to the ground with the camera. From there, we can see Flanagan walk by. While this was all happening, Flanagan was recording it on his own device, in which we see their final moments from his perspective. It's absolutely terrifying. In our number 1 spot, we have the car crash. On April 12, 2015, 2 friends were recording themselves going for a joyride while on drugs. In the footage, you can see them speeding along the road just fooling around. But the video ends with them crashing into a church wall and dying immediately. It's a very disturbing video, but both of the boys' parents agreed to release the footage as like a PSA to never drive under the influence and to always drive safely. It's just so disturbing how the 2 young men literally filmed their end.
Starting our list off at number 10, the Red Door. Okay, if you're a fan of Haunting of Hill House, this first one here should tickle your fancy. Here we go. I'm terrified already. This is some hospital footage because, you know, why not? This video starts off with a flickering light, but as the person filming walks down the hallway, the door at the end begins to open and close repeatedly. Like this, check it out. Now, once they reach said red door that was opening and, you know, slamming shut, they realize nothing is there and it doesn't really go anywhere. The door just leads to pipes, like water supply pipes in case of emergencies, you know what I mean? So they're inspecting it to see what have caused the opening and closing when they began to hear banging coming from another door further down the hallway. And then, of course, like Looney Tunes, they go and check out that one as well. When they check it out, they find nothing and nobody. Honestly, you guys, when I saw the door at the end, when it didn't lead anywhere, I was upset. I was like, oh, someone's faking it. Maybe someone's there, you know, doing something on the other side. Nope, just terrifying. There we go. Number 9, historic home tape. No, not one of those home tapes, you freaks. That's another video. This footage comes from a camera that was found at a historic home by a company that works specifically with historic homes. So specific. The footage found shows a few people just exploring around this abandoned home, checking out whatever's going on in creepy houses, you know, whatever we do on weekends. Apparently people like to explore abandoned stuff, because why not? We don't get to see what it is, but something very obvious freaks them out and they're not having it. They're scared while they're filming and then something else weird happens. Check it out.
Hello?
Now this is where the footage from one camera ends and then another camera's footage begins. There we go. It's like, here's a sequel for you. The audio is pretty distorted at parts, which kind of makes it scarier, but check out the other part as well. I'm not exactly sure what happened or who these people are, but something's going on in here. You know what? I'm tapping out. Let's move on. Number 8, Barton Mansion Ghost. This video is from 2001. Somebody explored through the Barton Mansion in California because, like I said earlier, some people like doing that for some reason. This mansion is said to be the home of tons of sinister happenings, satanic rituals, paranormal activity. It's even said that a demon haunts the top floor. It's kind of cool though, demon haunting the top floor. He's like, I shot to the top bunk, and then just floats around. It's said that the night before this video was taken, a group had broken into the abandoned basement, and there they found a creepy configuration of stones surrounding a piece of meat. They came back the next day to take some more video footage of the place, and the part of the video that I wanted to show you is basically a first-person view as somebody explores through said mansion. And it's when they spot something that none of us wanted to see, and that's when all hell breaks loose. Here we go. What exactly did he see there? I have no idea. If you have any ideas, put in the comments down below because I won't be able to sleep. Great. Number 7, clown sightings. This footage comes again from another home surveillance camera, and I feel like these things always catch the creepiest happenings. I just did a doorbell camera video where the dude's licking the guy's doorbell. That's the worst thing I've seen in ages. This time, when the homeowner went to check their footage, they were greeted by an extremely creepy clown. Yeah, I'm not sure if you remember years back when there was like a clown craze. Everyone just wanted to be clowns for some reason and hang out next to the highway. That was weird. I'm hoping that's where this video comes from, but again, there's no explanation, so we just gotta dive in and wonder.
Grabs a pumpkin and then tears it apart. The clown stares awkwardly at the camera before disappearing into the darkness.
I like that the reporter commented that the clown looked awkward at the camera before leaving. Yeah, awkward. That's for sure the word I would use for this encounter. Awkward, not terrifying. Number 6, Blockbuster Ghost. Oh, a classic. For those of you who don't know, before the age of streaming and, LimeWire, Netflix, all that amazing technology, we had to go to a store with our legs and our families. We had to put on our winter coats to go rent a movie. And sometimes we got there and there was only widescreens left of said movie. That was always the worst. You're like, I guess. I would go in and hide a video sometimes, and then come back with my family, we'd find it, and then rent it. Now, as many good memories that rest there in Blockbuster, there's also some haunting ones. This surveillance camera footage shows an employee, after closing, restocking some of the shelves in the store, and then they notice something flying off one shelf while they're stocking it. And when he finishes stocking one shelf, he moves on to the next, but one video on the shelf he just worked on immediately falls off. Okay, maybe he put the video on the shelf in a, awkward angle. It wasn't a tight 45, maybe it was one of those and it kind of slipped down. It happens. But when he walks away, it flies off the shelf again. Now at this point, I would have already dipped, I would have signed out, maybe even quit my job, who knows. But he goes back, picks the video up, and he walks away again, but this time a video on the other shelf falls down right in front of him, and then as he reaches to pick that video up, another video falls, and then a third one falls. And then he understandably runs off after that. That's just, yeah, to be honest, at that point, I would leave. I would leave after the first video fell, if I'm being honest. Number 5, witch caught on tape. I am terrified of witches. I don't like this one. Okay. This video comes from Mexico and it's said to be a sighting of a witch flying through the air. I love this video. I saw this long before I started working here and it's been rent-free, just sitting right in there. I don't like how slow she's going too. Like, she's not in any rush. The people who recorded the video said they could see the figure wearing a cape, which is why of course we all assume that it's a witch. And also, she's flying through the air, so there's that too. Just to add another layer of to this already kind of weird video, police officers from the area also explained that they had seen some sort of witch-like creature before this footage was even captured. They said they saw some sort of creature dressed in all black with huge claws, and it had their head hanging down low. Like, imagine a police officer, I'd be like, what, go get that thing then. What are you talking about? Is that a gargoyle? I've seen Lord of the Rings. Can we close the city? That's terrifying. That's a Demigorgon. Number 4, creeper in the back. Not creeper in the front. That's a different video. This is creeper in the back. Here we go. With so much of the world working from home and needing to do Zoom calls all the time, and now we're just comfortable and no one wants to go back to the office, so we're just gonna keep doing it forever, I guess. After you see this clip, you're gonna be looking over your shoulder every time you're in a meeting in the future. Yeah, you don't want anything like that creeping around your house at any point. When you're looking or not looking, honestly. The sad part is that guy looked like he was having a good time. Maybe he got a promotion on this Zoom call, you know, whatever was going on. He was loving it until, you know, the scary demon apparatus cloud monster thing appeared, of course. Then it kind of went downhill. Now I don't know what the aftermath is of this video, so if you want peace or sleep tonight, I can't help you. I'm not the guy for you. I just report the videos and go, that's scary, next. Number 3, the clip. This is a video that's titled Clip 95 MP4, and after watching it, honestly, I'm good with the other 94, to be honest. I wish I could explain to you guys what's going on in this video, but again, like the rest of them, I have no idea. That's why I included them. They're really baffling. It's a weirdly put together VHS tape, montage, whatever, that features some strange looking people in masks. A weird thing that maybe looks like a clock, and then a whole bunch of, it's just bad vibes. You know, Chris, just bad vibes going on. It's just not the mood for us. I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to find out, again, like the rest. I don't know what's going on with the clock symbolism here either. It's very specific. I feel like I'm late watching this video. Like I have like the anxiety going on now. Number 2, the chair. Not to be confused with the WWE wrestling move, the chair. This is way less fun, this one. I grew up watching the big comfy couch. I love comfy couches and comfy chairs. I'll sit on both all day long. A rocking chair as an adult, I'll be asleep in minutes. I love this. Except for when it's haunted and it just rocks by itself. Then in that case, I don't want to buy that, no thank you. This is a video of exactly that. It's a chair that is said to have been purchased, used just a couple of days prior, and let me tell you, I hope they kept a receipt. My grandma had a rocking chair, and she said that it would move on its own from time to time. Isn't that terrifying? My grandma told me that when I was like 8. And finally, number 1, VHS for sale. This VHS tape was found at an estate sale that was being held in a barn. Now the person who uploaded this tape found them in 10 boxes that they had purchased, amongst, you know, other things such as records, rusted tools, old paint cans, just borderline garbage, and they're like, ah yes, I'll paint it a different color and sell it for $1 more. And then, you know, sure. This video shows somebody walking through some sort of mildly wooded area in the daytime, which, okay, yeah, fine, that's all great and dandy, but then it cuts to a night scene immediately, and that's when the uncomfortable feelings start to rise up. That's when I feel like I'm gonna throw up on my keyboard watching this video. I have absolutely no idea what the white thing being dragged is, but hey, guess what? I don't want to find out. There we go. What a fun list that was.
Number 10, forest robbery. Let's start off with one outside of the realm of the paranormal, but still inside the realm of the terrifying. This biker was going down a trail on a beautiful day when suddenly a man can be seen appearing from the trees and bushes. The man runs up to the biker, revealing that he is armed. 2 more men then join him from the trees and they rob the man, stealing his wallet, bike, car keys, and more. I can't imagine how terrifying this scenario must be when there is clearly no one else close by who can help you, and there is truly nothing you can really do. While the men are robbing him, one even looks directly into the GoPro camera that the biker is wearing on his head, but seems to not realize what it is, leaving after telling the man to walk away with his hands up. Thanks to the GoPro not being stolen, it was handed in as evidence and all 3 men were able to be identified and arrested, though I can imagine the biker probably never goes down that same path. Number 9, Ontario Bigfoot. This one comes from my home province of Ontario, and the clip has been featured on a few different shows about unidentified creatures and cryptids. This couple was driving down the road and they had a GoPro camera attached to the back of their car, pointing towards the side of the road and trees. They didn't seem to realize at the time that while they were driving, they caught footage of something incredibly mysterious. Watching the footage back, you can see a large dark creature standing at the side of the road. While it does appear to have 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, its shape is not entirely humanoid, looking more like a large gorilla standing in the bushes. Many people believe that this couple managed to capture video evidence of a Bigfoot in Canada. While some people think that this may be a hoax because of the fact that the creature doesn't appear to move, saying it could just be a mannequin, others fully believe that this is real evidence of Bigfoot. So what do you think? Number 8. Skier falls. To me, this is one of the most terrifying videos on this list. The full video is around 16 minutes long and shows the ordeal of a skier on a mountain. He is with a group and they appear to turn around to head in a different direction. When he moves, however, the soft snow falls away to reveal a crevasse underneath him, and he falls in. Watching the footage is terrifying as you can see the dark depths of the ravine and the struggle that the skier goes through to try and hold on. I truly can't imagine how I would react in that situation. As he moves around, he actually falls lower, looking up towards the light and yelling out to alert his companions to the fact that he is no longer with them. As he tries to climb his way out and prevent himself from falling any deeper, you can finally see one of the other skiers lean their head over the opening of the crack. They're able to drop a rope and assist him in climbing out, and a helicopter picked them up shortly after. Number 7. Police clearing. This video comes from Reddit and is the footage of a Brazilian police officer that they had originally posted on Twitter. The group of officers are clearing through what appears to be an abandoned asylum or other large dilapidated building. As they are walking through, they come across a door that is acting incredibly out of the ordinary. The door is swinging back and forth wildly, hanging off of its hinges as it swings in the empty air. There doesn't appear to be any reasonable explanation for this, and even the police officers in the video are shocked and appear to try and figure out what's going on. There doesn't seem to be any significant wind that would be pushing the door, and definitely not in the way it is going in two different directions at the same speed. Also, due to the fact that the area is open, there is seemingly no way that changes in air pressure would be causing the door to move like that. The police officers eventually decide to get the heck out of there, leaving the door behind them with no explanation of what was happening. Number 6. Shark attack. This one is another one to add to the list of situations that I have nightmares about. This one comes from a group of scuba divers who were going spear fishing, and one of them is equipped with a GoPro to film their exploits. They head off in their own different directions, and the diver finally reaches the sea floor, looking around for any fish. The water is incredibly dark and murky, and you really can't see very far ahead of you. So when he looks up, a great white shark suddenly appears as if out of nowhere out of the murky water, heading right towards him. He thinks quickly, sticking out his spear to keep the shark away as it tries to turn back and come at him again. Once the shark is far enough away, the diver resurfaces, seeing that their boat isn't that far. He yells out to his friends in warning, telling them that the shark is nearby and to obviously try and avoid it. I think the scariest part of this video is how the shark appears like a jump scare, giving the diver only a split second to figure out what to do. Number 5. Kitchen poltergeist. This video is one of many that comes from a YouTube channel that is known for their alleged poltergeist that resides inside their home. They often post videos that they have filmed that seem to show evidence of the restless spirit disrupting things within their home. This video in particular was filmed by a GoPro that they put on a turntable high up on a shelf to record the entirety of their kitchen overnight. In the video footage, there are 3 main things that you can see. The first appears to be an oven door opening slowly, followed by the main door opening and then a chair falling backwards and crashing into the floor. There doesn't appear to be anything set up in the footage that would have made it obvious that this was faked. No strings or anyone else that can be seen in the room. While some people believe that videos like this are faked, it's hard to prove, so if you don't think it's real, let me know why down below. Number 4. Bear chase. Most of us know of the infamous faked GoPro bear chase video that seemed to fool a lot of people. A massive bear seeming to chase behind a biker on a trail. Instead of showing you that one and trying to pass it off as real, I am going to show you a genuine bear encounter GoPro video. This one comes from a man and his cousin that were mountain biking down a trail in the woods. He gets a bit far ahead of his cousin, so he stops to allow him to catch up, when all of a sudden he hears a sound beside him and turns to see a bear running down the hill towards him. He reacts so quickly that you really need to stop and pause the video to even see it. He starts cycling down the hill but crashes, turning around and likely expecting to see the bear right on top of him. Instead, it changes direction and starts heading towards his cousin, but it eventually backs off. You can see in the video that this is actually a mother bear with her cub, and that's likely why why she acted so aggressively. Fortunately, both the bikers were okay. Number 3. Stucky's ghost. This paranormal interaction is short but incredibly unsettling. It comes from a YouTuber named Nomadic Fanatic who travels across the country in his RV, documenting his journey on camera. He becomes lost at a dead end with a bridge and realizes that he is at a location with a haunted history. Stucky's Bridge, which is located in Mississippi, is apparently home to a ghost. A man named Stucky would stand outside at night and lead lost travelers to his inn, where he would then kill them and toss them over the side of the bridge. Stucky's crimes were discovered, and as punishment they killed him over the side of the very same bridge. They say that if you are standing there and hear a splash in the water, it's Stucky's ghost. Nomadic Fanatic is talking about the graffiti on the bridge when he suddenly hears a loud splash. He immediately reacts, looking around him and trying to see if there was anyone or anything around that could have made the sound, but he's clearly all alone. He decides not to stick around and see what Stucky might have to say, and instead runs off the bridge back to his camper. Smart choice. Number 2. Dog cam. As I mentioned in the last video, one incredibly popular use for GoPro cameras is strapping them to the back of your dog to see their point of view. That's what one couple did when they left their dog alone in the house so they could see what he was getting up to. When they watched back the footage though, they started to believe that their house may be haunted. Throughout the video, you can see the dog being startled despite us not being able to hear or see anything there. There are also strange sounds that can be heard that make it seem like someone else is in the home, even though the only living being inside is the dog. The dog never seems to be able to calm down, constantly wandering around the house and following after things that we can't see. Eventually, the couple returns home and the dog appears to even try and make a run for it out the door before excitedly greeting his parents. Many people believe that animals are able to see ghosts and spirits that we cannot, and this may be evidence of that. Number 1. Plane crash. This one is absolutely terrifying to watch, especially if you are afraid of heights. In this scenario, there were 2 different airplanes that were loaded with skydivers, flying over, waiting to get to their drop zone. Skydivers are often equipped with GoPros to record these stunning heights and views, so there are actually multiple angles of what happened. One plane gets too close and crashes into the other, the wing of one plane bursting into flames. As a result, the skydivers are panicked and have to quickly jump out, one being jostled around and getting hung up on the door before he's finally able to jump himself. Thankfully, they were all equipped with parachutes and were able to make their way safely to the ground. One of the planes was destroyed, but the other was able to land at a nearby runway. The idea of being surrounded by flames and having to jump out of a shaking airplane is absolutely terrifying, even if you were already planning on jumping out of it in the first place.